Let's go. You lead the way. Where are we headed? Towards a net zero future, of course. Cleaner water, more electricity, a sustainable society. That's the destination we've set ourselves. This we know. Yes, we know exactly where we're going, but we need to get there quicker. So, let's build on the progress we've already made by working and walking together. With the right partners, tools and ideas, we'll become an unstoppable force. This we know. Right now, there are businesses who are putting technology and sustainability at the heart of everything they do. Brave leaders turning maybes into realities and building something better for everyone. Now is the time to look to the future and reinvent ourselves today, empowering others to do the same tomorrow. Yes, we know what the future holds, and we know how to get there. So, let's take charge of the journey today.
Welcome to our school board meeting.
Namaskar.
Hello.
Hi.
Spiffio, access in any language.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're so happy to have you. We are Knoll Elementary School, and we're located in the Bay Area of California in the United States. We wanted to share this morning about our public school. Knoll just celebrated its 70th anniversary as a public school. We serve approximately 600 students from a variety of communities in the Bay Area. We also have an early learning center. The Early Learning Center serves students as young as 2.9 years of age, and we will soon be adding a transitional kindergarten to the community. We're a big school, but we often feel very small, and we get that feedback from our families as well as our students. That small feel is a huge part of what allows us to be so successful in building our community of parents, students, and everyone in this environment. We focus on healthy lives and relationships. As you can see, our tagline is that the foundation is the relationships. We have a bike program associated with the Silicon Valley Bike Exchange, and we really encourage our students, as many as possible, to bike to school. That's really important to us because it allows students to have independence, and it allows students also to come to school better refreshed with better SEL, having been outside. We focus on equity, access through scholarships and programs, and we try to ensure that every child, no matter their background, comes to school and is the same as any other child who comes into our campus. Everything we do at school is to make sure that everyone who comes in is equal and everyone who comes in is loved. We have intentional spaces on our campus. Those intentional spaces include the Nature Zone, which is a forested area on the side of our campus where students are allowed to build, create, imagine, play, create entire small societies, because we believe that having that connection to nature is incredibly important. We're restructuring some of our existing campus spaces that had been more traditional to suburban school spaces by transitioning them into more outdoor classrooms, adding more plants, reducing blacktop spaces, creating outdoor seating arrangements, and allowing our students to really connect to nature. A huge part of our project and a huge part of our success comes down to our school mission. Our school mission is every child an exemplary scholar, a valued friend, and a courageous citizen. We believe that age does not equal a student's impact, and therefore students as young as kindergarten, and some even in our early learning center, are encouraged to pursue their passions and to advocate for changes that they believe will make the world a better place. We empower students to see themselves as change agents, and this happens in the classroom, this happens in our learning centers, this happens outside on the yard as well. We focus on their goals and their values. We want to make sure that all of the work that we do is aligned to what our students are viewing as the change that they want to see in the world. This has led to our students doing a number of things, such as incorporating a program called Lunchmasters, which is our school program. It provides free breakfast and lunch to our students, but the students felt that there was too many plastic packaging in the lunch that was provided. With the support of their teachers and with the support of us in the administration, students not only tackled writing to the company, organizing possible, like doing some research to figure out what are other possible sustainable solutions, exploring with the company and meeting with the company to try and make changes that would be more environmentally friendly. But they also then were working as part of our green team, which you'll hear about later in the program. Additionally, we have a number of students who wrote a few years ago and noticed that there was a gender discrepancy in the height of the basketball hoops that the city was providing for boys and girls. And what it led to was actually the girls being given less desirable practice spaces, because those practice spaces had the shorter hoops that were used for younger children and less priority in scheduling their practice times. They were able to take their concerns with data, resourced, and looking at the discrepancy and the effect of that discrepancy over time, and bring all that research to the City Council and actually created a citywide change. So our focus really with the courageous citizens aspect is to make sure that our courageous citizens are taking their thoughts and their desires and their actions and the inequities that they see in the world and being empowered to bring those to the forefront and take them to the city leaders, determine with research who the right people are, if it's a company that they'd like to change their practice or they'd like to help to make better, safer practices for all of us. And that's where a lot of our work comes in. As a quick reminder, if you'd like to ask questions, you may do so in the chat. And then if we have time at the end, we will be taking questions. Also, there's a hashtag World Edu Week, which is hashtag WORLDEDUWEEK, if you would like to join the conversation of all the different meetings that we have. I'd like to very quickly introduce our panel from Oak Knoll School. We have Jenny Ryan, our school psychologist, Kathy Peterson, our office manager, and Nicole Scott, our school counselor. And they'll each be speaking about different aspects of what we've done at Oak Knoll to ensure that our students can be exemplary scholared, valued friends, and courageous citizens. I'm going to begin with Kathy Peterson. Kathy Peterson sets the tone in our office. Very often people consider her to be the face of Oak Knoll, Her work has been really intentional in focusing on making sure every single person that walks into the office, whether they're a child that got injured, they fell on the playground, whether it's a parent that's coming in with a concern, whether it's a new family that's just joining our community, we have many international families that come, always feels welcomed and appreciated and seen. Ms. Peterson.
Good morning. Yes, thank you, Alicia. I want to just start by saying I've been at our school for 15 years in our office, and then before that, a parent at our school. And we always value our relationships in our school, and we really believe that that is the basis for a positive school climate and the way to launch and activate our mission. And so we're very intentional about how we pursue our relationships. We are a believer in every student every day. We greet all our students and our families here every day with intentionality and with a purpose. And we believe that that a relationship that we can thrive in will set the tone for lots of positive outcomes. It also creates a tone and a feeling at our school. It is a big school, but it feels like a very small place. It's a very intentional and palpable feeling that almost everybody says when they come onto our campus that it feels like such a small school. And why is that? And it's difficult to put your finger on it, but really what it is, it's the relationships that we build. And we know that when we build strong relationships and create that positive climate, we know that students feel safe to take risks and to feel valued and feel connected to their community, which translates to empowerment. It all translates into our mission so nice and neatly, actually. But how we do that and how we approach that in our school, we've got lots of different ways. A few ways. We've got needs of our students in a traditional classroom setting where we've got one teacher and a classroom with students, but we also have a multi-age program. So some students thrive better in a multi-age program where there are 3 teachers, 3 different grade levels that approach the same curriculum, but in a different style, a different structure. So we might have in our multi-age program, our older students teaching our younger students PBL lessons or social studies units and working on the lessons in a different way to meet the needs of those students. We also believe in our history here. As Alicia said, we're celebrating our 70th year. And as a former parent of our school, I can say that these values that we have always had have been part of our culture for so many years that they just are more transcendent than we can even say. It's just they're more timeless and they're true. I just want to say that when we have our students in relationships and our community in relationships, we find that our students excel academically and socially. We think that they grow into strong, capable adults who can share their voices, who can serve others. And so we all believe that it starts with being in relationships and greeting people and really taking that time to connect with people.
Thank you. I want to talk just a minute about our multi-age program. Our multi-age program runs in tandem to the traditional program. So we have 2 strands of it. We have a K2 strand and then a couple 3-5 strands. We're very intentional in our work with families because there are some children who really would like a fresh start every year in a fresh group and a fresh cohort of friends. And there are other students who really want that 3-year-long, not just academic view of students, but also that 3-year-long growth in student development and their social emotional learning. And in each case, we're very intentional working with families to make sure that it's the right fit. Hiring is something that we take very seriously, and we really look at making sure that we have the best fit for the multi-age program or for a traditional program. A teacher that's intensely collaborative and really wants to take that longer view with students is a perfect fit for the multi-age program. A teacher that is really focused on 1 year and becomes an expert in that 1 year and continues to evolve and iterate in that 1 year is a perfect fit for a traditional program. In both cases, we focus a lot of our energy on making sure that we are reaching out to any potential new hires if we have openings and making sure that they believe in our culture and that we're hiring for sort of an asset strength-based approach for our teachers so that they have an asset strength-based approach in examining our students. With that, I would like to introduce Nicole Scott, our school counselor.
Hi, good morning. I am super excited to be here today. This is such a great opportunity to learn from so many people around the world. I'm in awe that I get to be part of a panel where I'm sharing what I've learned, because I still think of myself, even starting my 26th year as a school counselor, I still think of myself as somebody who's learning so much every day. I wanted to add on to something Kathy had said about how we greet our students. One of the big changes we made this year, and we're always making changes, is in our tardy passes. In the past, they'd come in, we'd ask them why they were late, and they'd get this little pass that said their name and time. This year, we intentionally changed our passes to say, we're glad you're here. We want our students to know, no matter what, we welcome them. And we are so glad they're here, especially we're a K-5 school. So, our students are not responsible for themselves getting to school. And we recognize that. And even if they've had a hard morning and they got here late because of, something that was going on with them, we're really glad they're able to make it and join us. And it's such a great way to welcome. And Kathy and our other office staff just do such a great job, no matter what time you get here, to make our kids know that we are so glad they're here. So as a school counselor, I'm really lucky. I am here full time. My first 12 years, I worked at another district, and I would work at 3 different schools throughout the week. And that was really challenging. And even when I started in this district, I was at 2 schools with about 1,400 students that I was responsible for. And our district really has taken a lead in changing, where each of our school sites has a full-time counselor, which I think is really unique. In addition, we have Jenny Ryan, who's on the panel with us today, is a full-time psychologist. So we are both here supporting each other and supporting our students, which is also, I think, really unique. Our social emotion learning is a huge part of our school culture. We have worked really hard to develop that school mission, Alicia and Kathy talked about, to include that we want our students not only to be scholars, right? That's why they come, to get that great education, but we want our students to be good people and friends, and to be those courageous citizens that Alicia was talking about, that are going to make our world a better place. And these values, they start right when our students come onto campus, from how they're greeted in the office to that our teachers greet every student every day at the door by welcoming them, saying their name. It's so important that the kids start that day with hearing their name and getting that greeting from their teacher. This school year, we also participate in the Sandy Hook Promise initiative called Start with Hello Week. We had a group of 1st through 5th grade students that were trained as Start with Hello ambassadors. But then the whole school really learned all 3 steps of the Start with Hello model, which is to notice, take a look around, notice who's not being included, reach out, and then start with hello. Once the students come inside their classrooms, the entire school begins with our morning news show, which sounds a little more fancy than it really is. It's a group of 5th graders and myself in a small little office in our library with a camera and a Vimeo stream. And it's then the classes all get a link that they're then able to watch our news show. This news show is a great tool to get out messages to the entire school. So on Mondays, we do a thing called Mood Meter Monday, where we do explicit emotional vocabulary teaching. 2 years ago, our district adopted the Ruler program, which comes out of Yale. Ruler stands for Recognizing, Understanding, Labeling, Expressing, and Regulating of Emotions. So in order for students to be able to do all those steps, they need to have a rich emotional vocabulary. So every Monday, we pick a word and we explicitly teach what that word means, and a little example of what that looks like. So for example, yesterday's word was gratitude, right? So the kids learned about gratitude, how gratitude is one of those awesome emotions that really makes us feel happier and helps us, because if we're feeling better, we're able to be better problem solvers. Then on Tuesdays, I teach the students a thing called Tool Time Tuesdays. These are tools where kids can use to help in their problem solving. The tools come out of a curriculum called the Toolbox Project. And so that we had that this morning, right before I came on with you guys. I was busy doing Tool Time Tuesday, and to get the kids to like really watch, I have props. So I wear a construction helmet. I have a shirt that I wear that says Tool Time on it, and I wear a construction belt. And so today's tool that they learned was the apology and forgiveness tool. And I try to make it really fun, and we practice the breathing tool, which is the favorite tool, just taking those deep breaths and relaxing. And so I do that every Tuesday, but the teachers have a copy of all those tools. And after each tool, they kind of hang them up in their classroom so that the kids can really refer to that tool and that lesson, and they have that visual inside their classroom. We also use the news show as a way to have mirrors and windows for our students. We do this by showing videos during specific cultural awareness months that we have here in the United States. For example, just this last week, we wrapped up Latinx Heritage Month. So throughout the last month, students watched videos on people like Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, baseball player Roberto Clemente, artist Jean-Michel Basquiat, and amazing singer Celia Cruz. So for some students, they're learning about someone that is different than themselves, a window into a different culture. For other students, they're seeing someone that looks just like them and getting recognized in a world that sometimes doesn't always do that. All right, so in each of our classrooms, we have a meter that's called the mood meter. That's where we get the name for that segment called Mood Meter Mondays. This is another tool from the Ruler program. And kids throughout the day can check in with how they're feeling. I don't know if you can see it, but back in the corner of my room, I have a painted version of one. So it has 4 colors: red, blue, yellow, and green. And what the kids do is from left to right is how pleasant they feel. And then from bottom to top is how much energy they have. So the left side, the side with the red and the blue, those are kind of feelings that sometimes if kids recognize that they are in that section, they may need to take some time to help regulate themselves. So in all our kinder through 2nd grade classes, we have a space inside the classroom where kids can go to help regulate themselves. We call these spaces calming corners. These calming corners will have tools like a breathing ball or a mindful jar, stuffed animals, books, a squeeze ball that kids can use when they need to help themselves get back regulated. New for this year, for our 3rd through 5th graders, we have a space called the Brave Room. This is a space where some of those same tools that we have in the calming corners, but it's an actual break from their classroom. So they can leave their room and go into the Brave Room. Now, this is something new. We're just getting it set up, but we really look forward to having this useful space for our students. Our students understand how their brains work. So they know their brain's job is to protect them, but sometimes it's working a little too well, trying to protect them when they're actually really safe. So these tools in the calming corner and the Brave Room are just tools to help soothe themselves and help them get back to a regulated state. And, our kids know mistakes are part of learning. We're going to make some mistakes in how we talk to our friends and how we treat them. And so our school, we have restorative practices to help them talk to each other and restore that relationship. The restorative practices where we meet with students to help them repair their friendships work really well because we have spent a lot of time in our classrooms building community. As Kathy and Alicia had talked about, those relationships are so important. And so we have these things called community circles where students get a chance to like share a little bit about themselves in community. And the questions that we ask in community circle can be just for fun, like what's your favorite color? What's your favorite food? They can be a tool to offer up classroom problem solving. We're having trouble with people talking too much during the math lesson. What do you guys think? How can we solve this? But it's really that opportunity to give every child a voice and a chance to share, be bonded, and feel really connected. And that was actually our theme this year. We kicked off the school year by our entire school reading The Big Umbrella. And that book is all about that there's room. We can always make room for everybody under our umbrella. And that has really been our theme this whole school year, fitting everybody in. We're all in this together. We're all a community. So those are just a little bit of some of the things we do. Jenny Ryan, our school psychologist, is going to share a little bit more.
Oh, thanks, Nicole. It's so great just to hear again about all the wonderful work and ways that we build relationships. So I'm Jenny Ryan, school psychologist at Oak Knoll, and I have been here at Oak Knoll for 26 years. And again, just like Nicole said, still feel like a beginner, and I'm still learning every day. So I'm going to talk about, first I should mention that in addition to being a school psychologist and here at Oak Knoll for 26 years, I'm also a parent of 3 children. So I feel like that definitely informs my work as an educator. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about is our work that is also foundational to our relationships, which is our growth mindset work at Oak Knoll. So we have embraced the work of Dr. Carol Dweck, who is a cognitive psychologist whose research indicated that people generally fall into one of 2 mindsets or belief systems. And I know there are many educators in the audience, but briefly for those who are not familiar with it, what Dr. Dweck called a fixed mindset is the belief that abilities like intelligence, artistic ability, or athleticism are set at birth, inherited, and don't change much over a lifetime. Basically, some people have it and some people don't. And a growth mindset is the belief that abilities like intelligence can change and develop over time with effort and practice and perseverance and good coaching, especially given the concept of neuroplasticity. So she found that these different belief systems lead to different behaviors and therefore different academic outcomes. So those who were found to have a growth mindset were more likely to focus on learning and less on performance, and were more likely to work hard, persevere through setbacks, learn from their mistakes, and ultimately achieve at higher levels. But in addition to that, she found that while people have a tendency to fall into one of the 2 mindsets, they could be influenced by the particular type of praise, encouragement, and coaching that they received. So for example, students respond differently to, wow, you really worked hard on that project. What did you learn? Versus, you got an A on that test. Nice job. So she also found that teaching students about the brain and how it can change over time with effort and experiences is especially helpful. So given this research that we were really excited about many years ago when we first became aware of it, so for more than a decade, we've been teaching students here about the brain, focusing on process over product, learning about overachievement for achievement's sake. And we have taught the concepts to children through skits and role plays and visual aids and using analogies. We've given all of our teachers copies of the book Mindset, which by the way, I should hold up. And we've offered training and classroom application. And then we've also used a children's book with similar concepts as a teaching tool called The Fantastic Elastic Brain. I'm going to hold this one up too, as I'm dropping things behind me. Anyway, Miss Scott and I, who you've just met, have a segment on our TV news program called Brain Time. So I'm going to show you these kind of silly hats that we wear, where we put our Brain Time hats on, and once a week, we go on and we teach children about the different parts of the brain, and we give opportunities for people to encourage one another when they do demonstrate effort and perseverance and stretching their brains. So we call these brain shout outs. So we're very proud that our students K through 5 can speak about the role of the hippocampus or the amygdala or the prefrontal cortex or the cerebellum in their learning. And over time, we've deepened our work and we've shared it with others, including presenting at conferences such as Learning in the Brain in the United States. So one of the things, I'll take my brain hat off now. One of the things that we noticed over time, though, is that we're trying to teach kids that abilities can grow over time, but they tend to see adults and teachers when they're masters already of most subjects, because kids see them as experts. So one of the things we did early on is we very intentionally used videos and had our teachers come on showing the students hobbies that they were just beginning to get good at. Like we had a teacher who showed his pottery, or we showed people playing a musical instrument, or just having them talk about times when they were beginners. So after doing this work for years with students and teachers, we also realized that if we're giving students one type of message, but parents might be giving different messages at home, it could be confusing for our students. So we did a couple of things. We had Dr. Dweck come and speak to our entire community at the district level. And we also began offering an online course to parents where they received a bumper sticker if they completed the course. And we, of course, recommend the books at every brainstorming meeting about student difficulties. And we offer to lend a copy to all of our new families. So I'm going to tell you that over time, the culture at Oak Knoll has really changed. And not only have academic achievement levels improved for students across genders, races, and SES levels, but we have found that kids are just happier and more engaged. And we believe now that being an exemplary scholar, part of our mission, is having a growth mindset. So we used to see a lot higher levels of anxiety in our students because in the past, if you have a tendency to have a fixed mindset, every test or every assignment is an opportunity to be judged as representative of whether you're a smart person or the best, and yet you're found lacking. So our students still have anxiety, especially given the pandemic, but anxiety around academics is much more rare. Mistakes, as Nicole had said earlier, are really seen as opportunities to learn, and risk-taking and challenging oneself is valued and celebrated. So we see that happening a lot more now. We used to even see little children trying to cheat on tests because a high score was some type of a status symbol, but now that's really rarely reported. So our students have opportunities to retake tests and redo assignments until they reach mastery. Mm-hmm. So you often will see little kindergartners around here pretending that their brain is growing when they learn new things. And because we often point out that just because we haven't mastered something yet doesn't mean that we won't master it at all, our students can often be heard chanting, "The power of yet, the power of yet." So we have also noticed that there's sort of less negative competitive energy and students putting one another down around campus now, and a lot more collaboration, because when learning is the goal, it's not a zero-sum game, and we can all become more intelligent or proficient at areas that call to us. One person's growth doesn't diminish another person's. One outcome of this growth mindset work that especially tickles us is how the number of applications to perform in our school talent show have more than tripled, because so many kids see themselves as capable of developing skills and talents and are much more ready to show themselves in the process of becoming great. So we encourage children to develop their own interests and seek out what excites them intellectually. And we believe at Oak Knoll that academic achievement will come when the joy of learning is cultivated. So that's something that's been really special to us over the years here at Oak Knoll. It's been really fun to see the outcomes.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Nicole. I'd like to very quickly summarize our 5 key steps to replicating our process. One for us, always relationships is the foundation. You heard that in both Jenny and Nicole and Kathy's talks, talking about the ruler work that we do out of Yale, which includes the mood meter, our restorative practices work, our invitation for families to join us in the learning journey. We're very intentional about making sure that we reach out to every family we can. As the principal, I ride the bus. As our school community members, we make sure that we reach out to every family and invite them in. our growth mindset work with Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck has been incredibly inspirational to us and all of our teachers, making sure that that asset-based lens is something that we use with our students, but we're also making sure our parents can use that with their children. As a community, we're making sure that our students are hearing that everywhere that they go. KNOL, our morning news show, has been, I would say, foundational. And I did see a question earlier that we want to talk about. But KNOL has been such a community builder. I think having that strong connection that runs through our school community so that every child starts the same day with the same language and the same consistent messages has been really inspirational. And seeing adults making fun of themselves and seeing adults really showing their growth and their learning and talking about all this important research has been inspirational to kids. Teacher autonomy and risk is something we haven't talked much about. That was talked a little bit about in the beginning. Multi-age actually was a teacher idea. So we promote the idea that our teachers can take risks and can try new things. And we share with students that this is something we're trying and this is something we're learning. And if it is successful, then we are going to continue it on. And if it's not successful, we're going to find ways to iterate on it. If we teach children that risks are okay and that failure is okay as long as there's learning, we have to support that message for our teachers as well. Giving our teachers license to make sure that they can try new things and innovate all in the spirit of student learning is really critical. And again, everything we do is founded on our mission. Because our mission is not just exemplary scholar, it really is exemplary scholar, valued friend, and courageous citizen, we're really focusing everything we have on the whole child. The child's academics are incredibly important to us. Their ability to form friendships and be supported with the other peers in their grade is also incredibly important to us. And the ability that they have to raise their voice, advocate for change, and be a courageous citizen in this world is equally important to us. Those three pieces are really foundational. We have a couple questions from the audience. I'd actually like to start with a question for Jenny and Nicole about Embracing Our Differences Month. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Nicole, do you want to go first and tell a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Embracing Our Differences Month is, we do it in March. We just picked March. You can do it any month. But that's another awareness month that we have taken on where we, embracing our differences, we show videos on our TV show, KNOL, that shows students with disabilities. We've tried to make disability a word that everybody can say, right? I think there's a lot of, even for myself, I'm like, what do I say? Is it okay to say the word disability? And the disabled community would really like you to be able to say the word disability. It's not a scary word. It's not a bad word. It's a part of the human condition. We all are different, and that's great. And disability is one of those things that make us different. And having a disability does not mean something bad. So that's really kind of the background for that month.
Well, I was just going to say that one of the things, because we're so lucky that we have both a school counselor and a school psychologist, during that month, Nicole and I go into each and every classroom and we do a puppet show and have a discussion with our students focused around disability awareness globally, but also, again, we try to highlight particular disabilities that our students in our school community have, so that when we use kids can be experts as well. So for example, when we were studying Tourette disorder, we had a student that had that condition and he went along with us as we did our puppet shows. We created these puppet shows ourselves because we weren't as thrilled with the ones that we found out there. And so what we would do is we would take the content around a particular disability and we sought out our experts. So our occupational therapists when we were studying cerebral palsy, for example. And then we had this wonderful parent who is a novelist, but she took the content and the important ideas and wove it into a really cute and clever puppet show. And we also found we used to just do the puppet shows for the kindergartners through second grade. And then we realized, wait a minute, I like puppets and I'm an adult. So then we started having our puppet shows all the way through the fifth grade classrooms. So it's just also an incredibly rich opportunity to have these discussions with children year after year and to see their growth over time and their understanding of the nuances and what can we do as a society so that there are fewer barriers for one another And then that's really what causes the problem, is not the way somebody is made or how they're born, but what are the things that are unfairly set up in our society, and what can we do to dismantle those barriers? And the kids are great about that. You know, one year we had them out checking to see, you know, the braille, and is it properly labeled, and what about how's our visibility out on our playground, and just things like that. So that's one of the special things that we really enjoy doing, is the Embracing Our Differences month every year. Guest speakers, assemblies.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've had some amazing assemblies that go along that with that topic. Antoine Hunter, who is an amazing dancer who's deaf. We've had a local school group come that has a whole dance troupe, and everybody in the dance troupe is disabled. We've had Judy Human Zoom with us. She is a disability rights activist who, for United States history, she helped bring the 504 laws into action by staging a sit-in in San Francisco in the 1970s. So just really amazing speakers that go along with that theme. So it's really awesome.
I know we only have a few minutes left, and I do want to sort of give a thank you at the very end, but quickly, Nicole or Jenny or Kathy, a question came in about the schools that maybe have different resources, right? We are, as Jenny said, very lucky to have both a school psychologist and a school counselor at our school of 600. Ways to implement this without the two of you, what would you recommend? Could
I just say that it doesn't cost anything to smile and greet people. And so that is essential in creating a positive school climate. So being forward thinking and outward with just your leading with your heart, and just creating a welcome space and a friendly environment is a tone that you can set without costing any money. You can implement it. You can draw pictures that include that. You can celebrate it in the ways that you do have, but that is the start. So I'll let you too.
I was just going to add too, I've thought a lot about this because I work in Menlo Park, but I was born and raised in San Francisco, and my kids always went to public schools in San Francisco. And oftentimes I would say, wow, there's different levels of resources here. But when I thought about the things that we do at Oak Knoll that have made the biggest difference, it is really more about our philosophy and our expectations for students. It's empowering teachers to take on projects that they love and find creative ways to spread that information, and giving them the autonomy to do those things. So even schools that maybe have a school psychologist one day a week, for example, much of the same work can happen with a teacher who's excited about a concept. And it's really, again, reading books that you can get for not too much money, and think about, how could I apply that in my school and see what happens? So.
Yeah, I was just going to add that I think there's a lot that we didn't include in this presentation that our teachers do.
Yeah.
Really, that is what makes our work, is because our teachers are so on board. From the books that they read in the classrooms that have to do with emotions, to doing those community circles, that's all teacher driven. So I think getting we're really lucky with Alicia here as our principal that really supports this kind of work in the classroom. So I think having an administrator, and everybody's got those, that's really behind the importance of kids' social emotional learning, it makes a huge difference. And getting your school board. I mean, part of the reason, like I said, even Menlo Park, when I first started here, I was working at multiple schools, and it really took the school board to recognize and value that our kids, especially after coming out of the pandemic, need more support. So.
Thank you so much. I know we only have a few seconds. I'd like to thank, of course, all the teachers at Oak Knoll, everyone here on this panel. We have great partnerships in the community as well, with an organization called MPAEF. I think you read about our partnership with the Silicon Valley Bike Exchange and Kepler's books as well. We're very lucky to have the parent community that we have, and we thank T4 as well for providing us with an opportunity to connect with other schools that we're learning from as well. Thank you very much.